Hello, everyone. If you want to get inspiration, motivation, and hacks about life, career, and writing, this is the channel for you. I am ERR Stories, and welcome to Life Thoughts and Inspirations TV. Everyone, welcome back to Life Thoughts and Inspirations TV. I am ERR Stories, and for today's episode of Conversations with ERR Stories, we have with us Miss Sylvia Gould. Our featured writer, Miss Sylvia Gould, is a communications director of a nonprofit organization based in the US. She is a mom to an energetic 5-year-old son, and yet she manages to squeeze writing into her schedule. She is one of the certified Wattpad Stars, and her book, A Bachelor for Christmas, is under Wattpad's paid story program. So let's hear it from Miss Sylvia today. Good evening from the Philippines, Miss Sylvia.
Good morning from the US.
All right, so how are you doing today, Miss Sylvia?
Oh, doing good so far. Haven't had much of a day yet.
Yeah, it just started from your end.
It just started over here, but I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, so maybe we can keep going with our interview. My first question, Miss Sylvia, is what inspires you to write?
For me, there seems like I have just these little ideas bubbling up, and they might drive me insane if I don't get them out. So for me, storytelling is a way to release something from inside of me. And a lot of times my characters go through very similar situations that I have endured. Mm-hmm. And I think for some, that's also therapeutic for me. Now, given I have some paranormal books and things like that, I have not actually, encountered vampires and werewolves, or in the case of A Bachelor for Christmas, I have never been on a reality TV show. But the things that the main characters kind of have to deal with, a lot of time it's identity issues, self-confidence. That's something that I have personally had to deal with myself. And I think for me, it's a way to deal with some of that, but also I hope that others that are feeling that way, that are having those questions, they might get something out of it. Some way that I can share my experience in a way that I know how to help someone who else has been in those tough situations.
Wow. Very nice. That's true, right? I also agree with you. Even in my stories, like a bit of me is also in that story that I write, and there. But when did you start writing, Miss Sylvia?
So I can't pinpoint exactly when I started, because I feel like I've been writing since my memory goes back. The first book I wrote was a book about the colors of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. It was dictated to my father, who typed it up on the computer for me. Wow. And printed the pages out, and I, colored it in with stick figures. But for me, like, the point in which I really thought this is something I want to do was in college. As I said, identity crisis is a thing that's occurs a lot in my books, and I was experiencing an identity crisis in college. I was going for video game development. It just was what felt possible at the time. But it never felt like this was it for me. And then about halfway through my college career, mm-hmm. one of my professors, an English literature professor, who this was just a class I was taking for kicks. It was just an elective, and she asked to see me after class one day, and she said, sorry, I have 3 cats and they don't like it when I'm not giving them attention. Anyways, she asked to see me after class one day, and she said, I can see that you declared your major, but I really hope you would consider doing a minor in writing.
Wow.
And it was, she kept talking after that, but like I kind of had this like epiphany moment, and I just kind of stood there dazed and confused, because I was like, that's what I like to do, is I like to write. And I kind of walked from my class back to my dorm room in a bit of a haze, because I like suddenly the world opened up to me. So I would say that, I've been writing for most of my life, but I didn't really write, like, really get into it and try to figure out how can I get this to others until about midway through college. And it was a journey from there.
Wow. You know what? Teachers, we might have viewers out there who are really, teachers. And thank you, teachers, because most of the time, our teachers really inspire us in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Just like what your professor in college saw in you. And it's amazing that your teacher was able to see that you really love writing, and way back with the story with your dad. Okay, what is your writing style, Miss Sylvia?
I would say that, so I really like to write in first person POV. I really feel a connection with a character's voice, hearing that inner monologue, getting their raw thoughts on the situation, and really developing their voice in their narration is something that I've always been drawn to. And when I did take writing classes, that would tend to be the thing that the teachers would be like, yeah, this is the real strong part of the story. So that is often how I write. And I really like to, I try my best with plots. I really, go for it with plots, but it's really character driven for me. Like that's what I like to do with my stories, is really explore the characters, their relationships with each other, which may be why I like to do romance a lot, because those always bring up some very strong feelings. But I also, I try to be informal, very just kind of playful, even when I'm doing more serious stories, which I don't do too often. I try to be in the romantic comedy genre, but even when I do ones that are more drama, I try to throw in some lightheartedness into there. And I have done third person, and it's something that I would like to explore some more. But I definitely feel my strongest in first person. And I admittedly, my writing style definitely breaks some rules, which my writing teachers like to tell me regularly. But it depends. If it's what I feel like the character would say, it's what I feel like the character would say. And sometimes that breaks the rules. And personally, I think that's okay.
And personally, that gives you that spark feeling when you write. Right. Is there a particular time of the day that you write? Or like, for example, at this time I should be writing, or it just comes out naturally?
So I have tried so many different times of the day, because I've heard that, like with exercise, like if you keep doing it the same time of day, it becomes easier. And I've tried like different spots to figure out what works for me. I find either the morning or the afternoon works. If I try writing at night, I'm usually so tired, and my ability to make decisions has diminished over the extent of the day. Right now, because I have a day job that I do, I can't really do mornings, especially with a 5-year-old as well. So like maybe I could get up early before work, but not with him. So I tend to do afternoons right now, which has been working out fairly well. I do have to work in a quiet space. I'm very particular. if I listen to music, because I do find that music can help
Mm-mm.
kind of set the mood. Like I can never have, no one can be singing in the music. It has to be an instrumental, because if they're singing, that messes with my thoughts when I'm trying to write things down. But then there's cats that will come in and they will meow, and that's always distracting. But overall, I think the afternoon has been working out well for me. I really envy those who are able to do like night owl writing, or
Yeah.
really, really early bird writing. But afternoon right now is my time.
Okay. Do you do it every day or like once a week? How often do you write?
I had for like this past year or so, I have been just writing whenever I can fit it in, because my son was doing virtual classes.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard to find that time to put the writing in, because he is 5. So I had to help him get on Zoom. I had to help him make sure he did his asynchronous activities. Before that, though, I did try to write a little bit every day. That's actually how A Bachelor for Christmas started.
Mm-hmm.
I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. My son wasn't even 2 years old. And I needed a creative outlet. And so I told myself, I am going to write 1,000 words a day. It doesn't matter how good they are, just 1,000 words. And I joined Wattpad to be held accountable, because I felt like if I had to post it, like that would be like, oh, I haven't posted today, so I really need to write those 1,000 words. And at the time, I mean, no one followed me. Nobody was reading. It was just for me, really.
Mm-mm.
And I found that very freeing, to not really have anybody reading there. Like it was out in the world, but since no one was there to judge, that I just threw up what I wanted. So A Bachelor for Christmas was written in a 2-month span. That was just me trying to get a few words in every day. And if I could get back to that point, I mean, that would be great. I would love to get back to a point where I could write 1,000 words a day. Right now, the way that I write, I try to write at least a few days a week. Again, if I can get those 1,000 words in, that is always a great plus.
Well, congratulations to you. Because with me, I've stopped for I think almost a year, or less than a year, because of
I can understand.
Yeah. But anyway, moving forward, any tips to aspiring writers out there?
I would say one of the important things that I learned, because I have been focusing on writing as a career. I say career just because like I was back and forth on exactly what I wanted to do with writing, but it was an important part of my life for well over a decade at this point. And so over that period of time, what I have learned is that everybody's writing journey is different. Like, I think what you are doing is great, because it is important to hear other people's experiences with their writing journey, because they can influence yours. But it's not important to follow someone else's writing journey to the T. Like there is no set formula to do this. And I was one of those people who like, I was there with the notes, taking down every single little detail and like, okay, so step 1, I have to do this. Step 2, I have to do this. And you get so frustrated when you fail to accomplish a step, or you don't see the results that you're expecting. And what I found is that eventually what was working for me was taking bits and pieces from other people's, like, okay, this worked really well for me, even though the rest of what this author did not work for me. And the other author over here, their process, this part worked well for me. And you just kind of take bits and pieces and you put them together. And it'll take time. It takes a lot of time. And I wouldn't say that I have figured out my writing process yet. You know, I've definitely honed it. I've refined it. But it's still in the works, and it might always be in the works. And I think it's just important to note that don't try to set yourself to someone else's standard. Learn, take it in, but you know, follow your own path. And it may take a while, but you'll get there.
That's true. We are all work in progress. Right?
We are all a work in progress. That is right.
Yeah. Any writing motto that you live by?
So I would say that a writing motto that I live by is also kind of a life motto that I have, which is shamelessly stolen from the great movie Galaxy Quest, which is never give up, never surrender. And that's important to me as a writer, because there are definitely some times where I want to give up. You know, there are some days where you get big wins, where you get that great review, or someone leaves the kindest comment on your Wattpad story. And then some days you get really big hits. Another piece of advice: don't read Goodreads reviews. It's for your own sanity. But you know, you read a bad review, or you know, perhaps you take part in a writing competition and you don't make the first round. And you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering? No one reads my stories. And you're doing it because writing is for you. It's not for anyone else. It's for you. And which is why the never give up, never surrender. It's like, I want to do this. So don't give up because of this. Don't throw in the towel because you got one bad comment. Like, it doesn't matter. What matters is you got the story inside of you that you need to get out. And some people will gel with that story. Some people aren't going to gel with that story, because we're all different. We're all living different lives, and certain things are going to resonate and certain things won't. So just keep on chugging.
I definitely agree with you, Miss Sylvia, for that. Now let's talk about your book, your story, Bachelor for Christmas. What is the story behind the book? Actually, you've mentioned it earlier a bit, but you know, can you walk us through the book?
Yeah. So I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite time of year. And I will watch all of those cheesy Christmas movies. I will Hallmark Channel, back in the day when it was ABC Family, over here in the States. I ate that stuff up. And it was around November. I was actually working on a different writing project on Wattpad, and it wasn't gelling. I was like, I need to do something different, and I want to get in the Christmas mood. So I'm going to write a Christmas book, but I need a hook, because there's so many, you know, fluffy, sweet Christmas romances out there. What am I going to do that's a little different? And at the time, I was a reality TV junkie, and I was, you know, considering what if I was watching just these shows where there were hosts and things like that. There were minor celebrities, and everybody would talk about like, oh, you know, they're kind of like eyeing the host, or, you know, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, what if they were actually like into somebody else, somebody behind the scenes, you know? And so I thought about this person who was into a producer instead of somebody else who might be attractive. And then as I was building off from that, I decided to go with the Bachelor concept, because that just has drama just interwoven into it naturally. And then I realized, like, if I have this bachelor, I was like, what am I gonna do with this bachelor? Because if she's gonna be interested in someone who's behind the scenes, you've got this guy here just waiting for love. And then I started to develop her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, things just kind of started coming into place. I'm like, what kind of silly games would they be doing? How many people would start off? How would they get eliminated? And I kind of like just went through my back catalog of all the reality shows I've watched and what kind of things they do to eliminate people, and figuring out how I can give it a Christmas twist. As for the location of the story, because I think the location plays a big character role in the book. They live in the town of Ann's Ferry. Mm-hmm. And I live in the state of Maryland in the United States, which is an East Coast state. So we are up against the Atlantic Ocean. And we also have the Chesapeake Bay, which is a very large bay. And we have like one side of the bay, which is where I live on the west, and then there's the other side of the bay, which is the Eastern Shore. And the Eastern Shore is an absolutely beautiful place that has a lot of towns that really survive off of tourism. Mm-hmm. And they're small, adorable towns. And so I took some of my own experiences going to vacation at these towns to create Ann's Ferry. And I also brought in some of the problems that I have seen with these small towns trying to survive, to motivate Charlie, the main character, mm-hmm. To why exactly she really just did not like this show, which it is, created the contention between her and her love interest, because of fear of what this show would do to her sweet little town, with this big Hollywood type, which, as he will tell you, it is New York, not Hollywood, which is, if you're from the US, there's a very different East Coast, West Coast mindset.
All right. So that's the story behind that story.
Yes. Get some history in there too.
Yeah. Well, I was actually scrolling through your profile. I was thinking, I hope someday I could watch this on Netflix, because like you, yes, like you, I'm into the Christmas romantic stories, and I really get that good feeling. It's a different feeling if the story is romance and then Christmas setting. There's a positive vibe, even if there are problems in and out, but mm-hmm. There's just something about Christmas, right?
There is. Yeah, there's the sense of hope, the sense of cheer that is just pervading the atmosphere. So even when you're having this contention with other people, you can't help but start to feel warm fuzzies. There's just no way of getting around it.
That's true. Now, what are your future plans for the book and maybe with your writing journey?
So for A Bachelor for Christmas, there is actually a sequel out, which is called A Groom for Christmas, which follows the four main characters. Obviously, Charlie is still the main character. She's still the voice of the book, but it catches up with Noah and Rowan and Ellie after about 2 years after the end of A Bachelor for Christmas. And that book kind of ties them all up, but I still have a deep love for the town that was created in this for this story, Anne's Ferry. And there were some characters that were dropped that were just put into the stories as they were needed, but I had a fondness for them. And a part of me would like to, so at some point, I'm hoping in the next couple of years or so, create a few novellas based off these characters that are at different seasons in Anne's Ferry. So visiting during other holidays, most likely like Halloween or 4th of July, Easter, those types of holidays. So we get to see what Anne's Ferry is like outside of the Christmas season, which I love, but I think there's more to explore out there. So that's my hope right now, is to explore some other characters in Anne's Ferry. But if anyone reads The Bachelor for Christmas and want to know more, there's a Groom for Christmas out there too, also on Wattpad.
I'm excited to read the story myself, and I have not really read any paid story yet, but I'm thinking this would be the first story that I'll be reading.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we end, Miss Sylvia, do you have any other message that you wish to share to our viewers?
I would say I am a slow and steady wins the race kind of person. I think a lot of people out there might feel caught up in the I've got to make it in, I've got to get my foot in the door, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And if you're anything like me, trying to keep up with the social media, trying to keep up with constant marketing, trying to keep up, the last thing I just want to let people know is just, at the end of the day, it's about your writing. And if all that other stuff is weighing you down, if it's getting in the way of your writing, then don't put so much of your time into it. Do what feels good to you. Do what feels right. And, I know that sometimes it can be a struggle to write, even as a writer. It's hard. That doesn't mean you're not a writer, though. Even if you hit that bump, if you hit that time span where everything just seems so hard, it doesn't mean it's over for you. It doesn't mean that it's done. Sometimes you just got to be slow and steady. You just got to take a breath, let it out, and come at it with fresh eyes. And if you can't get fresh eyes right away, if it's going to take a month, it's going to take 6 months, if it takes a year for you to clean it away and come back and be like, hey, I'm ready for this. That is okay. You don't need to do this right now, right away. Get it in, get it done. You don't need to. What you need to do is what's right for you. Mm-hmm. And, I hope what's right is getting what's in your heart and your soul out onto a piece of paper or onto a computer screen. However you do that, however long it takes. So that's in there is my advice, somewhere in there, which do it for you. Yeah. Take your time. There we go. Too long didn't read right there.
Thank you, Ms. Sylvia. It's like a message to myself.
Oh, I hope that can make you feel better too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Sylvia. Please invite our viewers to, catch you on Wattpad.
Yes, at SylviaNGould, Gould. Come and see me on Wattpad. I've got lots of stories, and I'd love to see you, and I'd love to have you. And please feel free to reach out, comment, send messages. I'm happy to talk to people if anybody wants to ask me any questions, or just chat.
Yeah, I'll be posting the link, guys, of Miss Sylvia's Wattpad account on the description of this video. So thank you so much, Miss Sylvia, and I am so inspired with what you've shared. And hopefully, before the month ends, I get to go back to writing. Yeah.
However long it takes, right? However long it takes.
That's true. As long as, you keep going, press on, right?
Press on. Never give up, never surrender.
Never give up, never surrender. Thank you so much, Miss Sylvia. This has been ERR Stories and Miss Sylvia. And we are here to always, inspire you guys to start writing. And like what Miss Sylvia said, never surrender, never give up. There. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Miss Sylvia. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to your friends. And yes, always remember Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Bye-bye!